Keeping it real. That's the topic we're here for today, and I'm very, very excited for you to be here. Thank you very much for flying me in for this special event. I think this is amazing, and I really appreciate you guys making it here to the Madgicx headquarters in Tel Aviv, Israel. Anybody watching us on the screens, welcome as well, no matter where you are. So, what do you say? Are you ready? Should we dive in? Ah, that's a good crowd. All right, so I think we're talking about something super, super fascinating today. I mean, who hasn't realized that the world of marketing, communications, and the way that we consume information has massively changed over the couple last years, right? Who thinks things are changing fast? Raise your hand. Okay, sorry, just trying to get you engaged here. Okay, obviously, right? Obviously, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You understand that. Right? So the question then is, with all the things changing so fast, what should you actually focus on, right? We all just have 24 hours in the day, and we're thinking like, how can we maximize our time here on planet Earth, and how can we use it for our own benefits and the benefits of our companies, right? And we're here today because we have seen that Reels might be the shit right now. I mean, you've seen what happened over the last couple of years, right? We've seen how short-form video has really started to dominate social. And it is really nowadays how a lot of people actually get their information. Who here reads a newspaper? There's not a lot of hands up, right? Who here consumes some form of short-form video at least once a week? Okay, everyone. Okay, guilty. All right, guilty. Who binge watches Reels for like hours on end? Okay, so it's working. All right. I know this is not a proper test group here, but anyways. Okay, so you understand the importance of Reels. That's why you're here, and we want to dive into why it is so important today, right? And what exactly to do with it. This event here today obviously has been put together by our friends at Meta and Madgicx. Obviously, Meta is like the big one in the game, right? And we're going to dive into that, and that's going to be absolutely fascinating because we're going to hear directly from Meta what to do with Reels this year and moving forward. Obviously, Madgicx is a great platform, probably the best platform if you're looking into performance on those platforms, right? If you want to see your ads specifically perform very well. So I'm very much looking forward to get both perspectives today from Meta, from Madgicx, and then also we have a special guest from an agency to give us even more in-depth information about how to use Reels today. I think this is going to be super fascinating. All right, who am I? My name is Philip Schaffman. I have been in the game of online business and marketing for about 20 years now, built a couple agencies, VC-backed startups, have had my successes and failures, and nowadays I'm very happy because I get to play the host at some of the biggest performance marketing shows on earth, and yeah, be here with you today. So that's going to be cool. I happen to also build an agency for Reels, so I'm here to learn directly. Okay, all right. So thanks for getting me here, flying me in late night here to Tel Aviv. I'm excited to be with you today. Okay, so much for introduction. So now, what do? Let's first look into what Meta is doing with short-form video now. Obviously, Facebook and Instagram are two of the absolutely biggest networks out there. It's the platforms where a lot of us hang out on daily, right? And it seems like Meta is doing a very big push towards Reels. And obviously, this might just be the biggest opportunity you have in 2023. So, as mentioned before, let's look into why you should use Reels, but then also look into who are Reels really for. So in terms of you as a company using it, right? Or as a professional, as an expert, but also who is a good target audience for Reels? Is it everybody? Are there specific people? And then where do you use it in your marketing mix? A lot of these things I'm looking forward to dive into. All right, so let's have our very special guest from Meta here. Actually, you know Gary Vee? Right? Gary Vaynerchuk? I just saw a reel. He said, actually, if you focus on just one platform this year, which platform is it going to be? Yeah, it's Facebook. It's Facebook, right? So I'm very much looking forward to have with us a very special person from Meta. She's actually leading strategic partnerships for Meta, specifically for creatives and ad tech in all of Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Please help me give a warm applause for her. This is Stacey Bocknek.
Thank you. I guess everyone can hear me. It's weird when you use a mic that doesn't actually work in the room that you're presenting in, but it's all good. All right, well, first of all, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thanks to Madgicx for hosting this event. We're super pumped to be participating at this Real Talk event. As Philip said, my name is Stacey. I am a strategic partner manager at Meta, based out of our France office, where I manage strategic partnerships working with our group of Meta business partners. So these are partners that help drive ad solutions for their users and advertisers. So I work very closely with performance-driven platforms like Madgicx, but also creative platforms that can help people create really nice quality visual assets for their campaigns. I will be joined soon by, not to get her all embarrassed, but I see Lisa's here as well. So the two of us, yeah, welcome, here, have a seat. No, I just started, it's perfect, I just started. So really the purpose of this session is to give you an introduction into Reels as a placement and give you the foundational creative guidance that you need to kind of kickstart building Reels for your campaigns and advertisements. And I guess before I kind of dive in, just by a show of hands, who here has created a Reel before? All right, maybe about 30% of you, great. And how many of those people have actually gone and created a Reel for a specific ad campaign for a business? Even fewer, perfect. So this is why we're all here, and through this I'll walk you through some of the ways that you can start thinking about creating a really compelling creative. A lot of you might feel that you don't speak the language of Reels just yet, but in fact, you're probably already very familiar with some of the types of content that people are already using on Reels to drive ad performance. Yep, so to start off, I'll walk you through, this. Why are we paying attention to Reels in terms of this shifting environment when it comes to video and entertainment? Take you through how we at Meta think about the language of Reels on both Facebook and Instagram, different ways to structure the story that you're trying to tell for your brand, thinking about how you can partner with either creators or Meta business partners like Madgicx and Sparkle to create Reels for your different campaigns, and just really trying to get you to a better place upon the end of the session to feel more empowered to begin creating Reels on our platform. So before we kind of jump in, let's take a little bit of a step back and really just appreciate just how much the world of entertainment has really changed over the last few years. The video that you see here, it's not specifically a Reel, but it contains many of the similar qualities that a Reel has. One, it's you have a human that's front and center, holding the camera up, and kind of as she's spinning around, she's inviting us into our world. And so even though there's no story, plot, narrative, or script, the content that we're seeing is actually really compelling, and one of the main reasons why Reels content performs super well. These days, Reels has become really part of the cultural currency. Short form video has really taken off, and this is all because of the democratization that Reels provides. We've kind of seen this shift over the last decades where entertainment has become very democratic, starting with television years ago, but then with the rise of streaming platforms in the early 2000s to now, really anyone with a smartphone can create entertainment and have their content disseminated to millions and millions of people around the world. And one key differentiator between short form video that we're seeing now compared to mediums of the past is that it's relatively unvarnished and unpolished. You know, you don't necessarily need high, big budgets and production to create content that really resonates with people. And so in this sense, Reels is a bit unique, and short form video is a bit unique across platforms in that it's pretty unpolished, but still is able to elicit an emotional response from the viewer. And of course, they're very entertaining as well. Really what we're seeing is just the sheer volume of reach that video is having in our everyday lives. There are 3.8 billion people that use Meta's platform products every single month, and about half of the time spent on our platforms are spent watching video. And in terms of Reels itself, this is a format that we've just seen really grow over the last 6 months. I think around 140 billion Reels are watched every single day, 2 billion Reels are shared every single day, and we've just seen this increase 50% over the last 6 months, and we expect to see this to continue. And because of this, brands in order to drive performance are trying to meet users where they already are and connect with their audience through this format to drive outcomes across their different campaign objectives. And it works really well. I mean, 2/3 of people that we surveyed said that they actually completed a purchase after seeing a product or a service in a reel. So this is a pretty compelling way for businesses of all sides to connect with their audience and drive conversions. From the measurement and the studies that we've seen, Reels really turns attention into action and drives performance across all different stages of the marketing funnel. So whether it's to drive awareness, we've measured the lift that Reels can add to a campaign that's already being run on other placements across the platform, such as feed and stories, to driving consideration by placing Instagram Reels in business as usual campaigns, as well as driving lower funnel conversions by using the language of Reels to drive bottom of funnel actions, whether it's to make a purchase or to sign up for a service. All across the different stages of the marketing funnel, all of our performance shows that adding Reels as part of these campaigns and as part of these objectives really drives performance. Now, one really important way to think about Reels is that it's not just a placement, but it's a language in of itself. And what do I mean by this? I mean that it's a system of communication that is native to the placement itself. And just like any language, anywhere, it's always changing, it's fluid, and it's shaped by the people that actually use it, whether it's building on top of it, remixing content, or adding new ways of interpreting content. Just like any other language, people who use Reels are really shaping the discussion around it and the way that people communicate. Because of how the content keeps changing, it's hard to really say this is the exact formula on how to create a good Reel, because just like any kind of cultural zeitgeist, this is ever evolving. But based on a lot of the studies that we've done, where we've looked at what makes a Reels ad perform really well, there's 3 key components. They have to be entertaining, they have to be digestible, and they have to be relatable. So I'll kind of dive into a little bit about what we mean. So first and foremost, as I'm sure you've done when you've used Reels as a viewer, people come to Reels to be entertained. Unlike feed or stories where you're perhaps following your friends or following influencers, people come to Reels not to follow people, but because they're seeking entertainment. And so because of this, a great way to entertain people through Reels is, you add audio, music, visual effects, and kind of build some kind of elicit an emotional response in the content that you build, because first and foremost, people want to be entertained. And so adding audio, for example, we see that 80% of people who watch Reels actually watch Reels with the audio on. And in terms of driving performance, we've seen this play out where Reels creative that featured an audio, either music track or voiceover or sound effects, actually increased average positive response in studies by 22 points. And as I said, I'll let these play, but these are all great examples. The first one is an ad for Video Leap by Madgicx here in Israel, where they use kind of really funny, engaging audio voiceovers to capture the user's attention and entertain them. The second example from BMW Mini uses visual effects that, again, really capture the user's attention and entertain. And then the last one uses comedy. Let's see if this
No more boring reels, 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 no more boring reels.
I think we know what the message of the video is. I'm having trouble. Oh, we can't really hear it. Basically, what they're doing here is this content looks like it's not necessarily from a brand. It's something funny and entertaining that is uses the audio to really capture the user's attention. So this is an example of how Video Leap is using digestible content to capture the user's attention. Reels should be digestible in the sense that, these days everyone's attention span is pretty short. People want content that's to the point, tells them exactly what they should expect, and is something that they can, easily consume without belaboring the point. So the way that you can do this when creating content is by adding text and stickers overlay to your Reels content. We've seen that 65% of organic Reels that are created are already using text overlay to communicate different segments of the messages that they want to put in their Reel. It allows people to really understand from the get-go what the brand is trying to communicate, whether it's a specific product, whether it's a service, or just really understand that what it is that they're watching. So in this example here, this jewelry company, right from the get-go, within the first 2 seconds, is communicating their Reel and letting people know exactly, what they're about to watch. And then finally, the last example is from a shoe company in Korea, and they stitched together a bunch of their products all at once. And again, it's just very easy to digest and visualize and really understand what the brand is and what they're trying to do. And then lastly, we find that great Reels ads are relatable. And this kind of ties back to what I was saying earlier around having unvarnished, unpolished content to create a strong sense of authenticity, to make people, really feel connected to the brand, and for the brand to build, strong connections with their audience. And so you can do this in several ways. You can do this by showing someone a situation that they encounter in their daily life, showing a pain point that people experience in their daily life and how their product can help solve that. And this all goes back to, again, this feeling of being authentic, especially with younger audiences. In some of the research that we've done, 84% of young consumers have agreed that they actually like it when content isn't perfect. They want to feel that it was spontaneous, created on the fly, and people weren't so worried about getting everything high production. And it, again, just kind of relates back to authenticity. So here's an example from Carlton Dry.
Yeah, so I've literally been holding my breath for about 45 minutes now, underwater. Yeah,
it's the person who exaggerates all the time.
I waited for the bus for like 4 days. So by this point, I'm running like 100 Ks an hour because they're obviously chasing after me. Like, he's addicted to me. He would probably drop a knee tomorrow if he could. It's not a light trek, this is like the equivalent of Mount Everest. Oh, I would have like 16 double shots a day. Yeah, coffee just doesn't affect me.
And the woman's just sitting there drinking her Canada Dry, just nodding along. And they do this just because this is this character is someone we all recognize. We already know someone like this. And so the drink in the video is not the focus. It's really, again, building that connection through something that's very authentic and relatable. The second example from a product company, it makes a connection with the user and the viewer by showing a very common pain point. This is a 2-character Q&A format that I'll talk about in a bit. And then the last one is by a direct-to-consumer clothing brand where it's trying to convey that it's almost as if I bought this box from my best friend. And we can see that there's the content is shoppable, it's from a brand, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels that anyone could have made this video and that it's something that even my friend could have made. Okay, so we went over the 3 qualities of what makes a good Reel. They're entertaining, they're digestible, and they're relatable. Now, how do we go about creating a Reel? What is the creative essentials and the creative best practices that we should all be keeping in mind? So a few things, and these are best practices that we have seen drive performance when launching Reels ads on our platform, both on Facebook and on Instagram. So the first is making sure that you use a 9:16 format to really create an immersive experience that feels full screen and is more compelling versus having like a square or horizontal format. The second is to build your reel with audio already on, as I mentioned before, just because most people watch reels with the audio already turned on, and we've seen increases in response scores to Reels ads that had some form of audio. And then finally, and I'll touch on this in a little bit, but making sure that the calls to action and the messaging and the text that you're using fall within safe zones so that they're not covered or obstructed when the ad is showing with the copy and the call to action. So one, I think, common misconception among smaller advertisers, like perhaps many of you, is that Reels require a lot of work. They're very hard to produce. They're just not for me. But one thing I really want to kind of reassure all of you is that anyone can create a Reel. You don't have to be a huge brand. It doesn't matter whether you're a huge company or a small one person's shop. Anyone can create a Reel. That's really fantastic. And the key to making a good reel lies within the structure. We think about reels as telling a story. And as with any story, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is certainly not the only way that you can go about creating a story on reels for Instagram and Facebook. But for maybe those who are just starting out, it provides a very good foundation and a good basis for getting started. So from the beginning, you want to capture the user's attention. We call this as like nailing the hook. Why should they stop scrolling? You have not even a few seconds to get them to take their thumb off the phone and actually watch the full thing. So you need a very clever and effective hook to just kind of get them to keep watching. Second, the middle part, you want to maintain their attention. Why should I continue watching this video? What content are you showing me? What value am I getting out of it? And then just like with any story, there needs to be an ending. So at the very end, you want to reward the attention of the user by either showing them the answer to a question that you may have asked, or showing them hitting them with your product and inviting them to take some sort of action, whether that be to book an appointment, make a purchase, visit your website to learn more. So this is kind of the storyboarding that you should be thinking about when creating a reel: the beginning, the middle, the end, capturing the user's attention, maintaining it, and then rewarding it. So I'll illustrate this with an example. So this is a fictitious company that Meta created called Planty. They're a direct-to-consumer company that helps people take better care of their plants through magical plant solutions. So we'll watch the beginning. So we see here, our attention is captured right away. There's a fun transition with the music and the beat dropping, and the viewer immediately thinks, oh wow, maybe I can get my plants to grow like this. I'll keep watching. And in the middle, they're walked through, each of the steps are broken down in terms of how you can go about using that product. And the end, it's showing that it's actually using Planty and that you should go make a purchase. So it follows this beginning, middle, and conclusion framework. So within that framework, there's a few different story types that you can use, again, as the starting point for creating Reels content. And we'll go over some of these, and I'm sure many of them will seem very familiar for you, because a lot of them are storytelling methods that are already being used by everyday people organically. And so again, because we want Reels language to be very fluid and integrate well within the experience itself, we don't want Reels ads to feel like sponsored content, but rather content that corresponds to what everyone else is sharing on the platform as well. You don't always need to go out and shoot your own content. Many of the examples that I'll be showing you, whenever you see this adapt and edit, it indicates that the content that was used was either content that the brand already had from their website, product catalog, user-generated content. It wasn't something that they actually actively had to go out and shoot. So these are a bunch of the, I guess, story types that you can think about using when creating your first reel. I'll go through all of them quite briefly. So the first one that I think we're all really familiar with, let me move forward, is the photo dump. So this is this is a very low lift way to get started. A photo dump is essentially a collection of different photos and videos that are put together, synced to music, and really either showcase a bunch of different products that a brand has, or really lets a brand tell their brand personality through this collection of snippets. So this is a German retailer, but again, just walking through this photo dump framework, it first captures the attention by asking a question to the audience to draw us in. So where do you find something for everyone? So, where do I find something for everyone? It then goes on to showcase all the different products that you can find on their website, and then rewards the user's attention with get everything cheaper at Outlet City. The next type of story type is the listicle. So this is an example from Sweetgreen. They're a salad chain in the US, but a listicle allows you to break up a lot of different product features that you might have from your brand into bite-sized pieces through text overlay and stickers, and kind of walk the user through your product that might require a lot of words to otherwise express. So this is a cute example where they listed if salads were an astrology sign, and kind of walked people through the different attributes of a salad that also align with astrology. And then at the end, you're rewarded with some humor where it says, this is your sign, haha, to order now. Here we have the types of, so walking people, again, this relates back to the relatability factor, walking people through the types of runners you see in the gym. This is for a sports company, for Pure Gym Fitness. So instead of like advertising their fitness gym and saying like, this is our gym, they're actually making a connection with the viewer by showing them the types of people you run into in the gym. And again, if you're into fitness or have gone to a gym, you can see yourself in these characters that they bring. We have transition sequences, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with, which breaks a video into different cuts. And at each cut, it adds a little bit of magic by doing a 180 on itself and taking the user somewhere else, either by showing a new outfit, a new product, a new scene. I think we've all seen trends over the last little while where it's like, can we skip to the good part? Like that's a really conventional transition sequence that works really well because our attention is captured immediately from the cut. We're shown a lot of different things, and then our attention is rewarded at the end where I get to know who this company is, what is the brand, and how can I take action. The Q&A is a really fun format. Instead of listing out different product features or qualities, you can reframe it as a conversation between two people. Usually it's the same person who plays two different characters in the same reel. This is, it went back, this is a funny example. It's for a clothing brand, but they used a really well-known creator, Kishan Das, to kind of have a funny conversation around Indian arranged marriages. And then within each frame, you could see the item that he was wearing was tagged. So again, it's entertaining. You don't have to understand why I need to buy these clothes, but I can watch a Q&A format reel and get a little bit of a laugh. And as I'm going through, I can see the different products that are used. He's really funny. I don't know if you guys have seen him before. You can think about doing a product demo, or as we like to think of it, demotainment. So instead of just showing how a product is used, you can do it in a really fun way. Demos work really well, especially when you have a product that people might want to actually see out of the box or see how something works. So this is a really great example from Displate. They used very clever videography and small little effects to draw us in. But we've seen that Reels ads that feature a product demo perform much better. But using before and after sequences are really good. We understand right from the get-go in this example here that, they're showing me a before and after. I'm gonna watch to the end and see as the reward what the result is here. This is another very common format, the POV, or the point of view, POV. I'm never sure how it's pronounced, so I just use all of them. This allows the user to feel that they're seeing something very exclusive behind the scenes from the point of view of a person. You can think of having a small tutorial and walking the user step by step on how to do something, build something. These are always very effective. In this example that I shared from our fictional brand Planty, it takes us through plant hacks on that you can do to make your plants flourish and grow instead of, again, just talking about a product. And again, we really find that these types of storytelling methods work quite well. And then last but not least, we have the comedy skit for Carlton Dry. And you can't go wrong when you're able to make people laugh or smile. Even if it's an ad, people immediately feel a connection with you. This is an example on how to yassify your beer drinking experience, and this is really funny. So we think we're having a typical boys' night with beer. No, but we're gonna yassify it. And we see in the last frame that it's an ad by Carlton Dry, not Canada Dry, and they're rewarding the user's attention by allowing them to take action. Just to kind of recap, I know that was a lot of information. I guess the main things that you can take away from this is first understanding that, again, Reels is more than just a placement, it's a language, one that is shaped by the people who use it, and is always fluid and changing. But the common denominator that all high-performing Reels ads have is that they're entertaining, they're relatable, and they're digestible. To effectively create a Reels ad, just keep in mind the creative essentials, both around sizing format, audio, as well as the safe zones that I'll talk about soon. And then in order to bring it all together and tell a story, think about some of these storyboarding and format ideas that are familiar to people and that make them want to pay attention. Now, in some of the examples that we saw, not every brand used a creator. Anyone can make a reel. A lot of the time, it's people who work at the companies that star in these videos. They use user-generated content that people have been posting already on different platforms. But if you did want to work with a creator to take your content to the next level, you absolutely can. This is a tactic that works very well. In terms of getting started with creators, one reason why it works really well is that it's their professional job to be very active on our platform, so they're very familiar with the content, they know what works, they know what's trending at the moment, and can really build an even stronger connection with the viewers. I think 69% of online shoppers have stated that when they see a brand that's actually mentioned by a creator, they're more likely to buy it and they trust the recommendation much more than it's just with the brand. So working with creators can add a layer of credibility to the story that you're trying to tell. Here's an example of a Brazilian creator that Dove partnered with. They took a popular song around Drop It, and then used it in the context of letting your curls drop, and this kind of really took off and became its own little anthem. So the way that you can do this is through partnership ads. They were formerly called branded content ads. Now we refer to them as partnership ads. And this is a more transparent way of launching Reels ads on the platform that have been done in collaboration with a creator. So it both uses signals from the creator and the brand handles. As you can see, it's mentioned that it is a sponsored post, but both Instagram pages are mentioned in the collaboration. And it just creates better performance outcomes because it adds this layer of a human touch versus just showing a product, as well as transparency around the actual content itself. When it comes to choosing a creator, there's many different ways to go about it. How we like to think about it is you first need to think about category fit. So if I'm a beauty brand, maybe you should think about working with a beauty creator. You can also think about working with lifestyle adjacent creators. So if you're a photography brand, maybe you want to think about working with an interior design influencer or creator who can, show how their photography is showcased in interiors. And then also you want to make sure that the values and the, vibe of the creator matches your own personal ethos and your personal brand. And one way to go about finding creators, maybe this is more relevant for some of the people joining online, but we have a creator marketplace that is currently available only to US-based advertisers, but we hope that this will be rolled out globally in the future. But we do have a lot of Meta business partners that we work with who have their own creator marketplaces that can help you find creators to collaborate with. And this brings me to Meta Business Partners, the types of partnerships that myself and my team manage. So Meta Business Partners are a way to accelerate your objectives and make creating advertising or ads easier and a lot more clear to drive higher outcomes. So there's different Meta Business Partners that can provide Reels templates if you want some examples that you can, edit and put in your own assets. We have Meta Business Partners that specialize in asset optimization who can, take some video, make some cuts, like Sparkle, for example, that work with Madgicx. They can, make your content really compelling. We have partners that work with Reels user-generated content providers as well as creator platforms. So you can actually go on the Meta website or just do a quick search for Meta Business Partner Directory, and there you'll find a list of a lot of the platforms that we have badged and certified as being great platforms that you can work with to drive ads outcomes. But as it relates to, of course, performance and Sparkle and Reels, we can think about Sparkle and Madgicx. So how do I go about creating Reels ads? So there's two ways to do it. One is by boosting an organic reel that you have already put on Instagram, and the other is within Meta Business Manager. So the main difference between the two is that if you are going into your Instagram profile and you go into the Reels tab, you're actually able to boost content that you've already put on there. And once you do so, that reel will appear in the Reels feed tab, Explore, in feed, and in stories. But you just have to be mindful because Reels that contain GIFs or third-party filters and copyrighted music, you won't actually be able to boost them. And it's a much, low-lift way of sponsoring your content because it has simplified campaign objectives. Whereas within Ads Manager, the Reels appear in viewers' Instagram Reels tab exclusively, and you can select either manual or automatic placements. I think Dani will be talking about this a little more in his session. Ads are submitted for review, and you have a lot more objectives that you can choose from when setting up your campaign. But in both cases, the Reels have to be at 90 seconds or less, and in this 9:16 aspect ratio in order for them to be converted or in order for them to be sponsored as Reels ads across the platform. I won't get into this too much because I think Dani's going to talk a little bit more on like the actual how around placements and how to set up Reels campaigns. One thing that I would like to call out is in terms of copyright music, we actually have our own Meta sound collection that you can use, and it's a collection of around I believe 10,000 audio tracks that you can use to add sound and music to your Reels that are copyrighted and are licensed and will not get taken down. So that is a free library that you are able to use. Another thing to be mindful of when creating a Reels ad is that it respects what we like to call safe zones. So a safe zone is an area of a reel that will not be obstructed by a logo, a call to action, or a text overlay. And we recently updated the safe zone guidance to 35% of the ad creative, which is a little more, but it's very much in line with other platforms like YouTube Shorts and TikTok. So if you were to, put some content here, it would be blocked by the call to action at the end, shop now. So you just want to be mindful of this, and we're going to be updating this, I think, next week. So just something to keep in mind. And one last thing around music, just because we get a lot of questions about the types of music that I can add to my Reels ad. A lot of people ask us like, hey, can I add this like trending song from The Weeknd on my Reel? And the short answer is no. We can only sponsor Reels that have licensed music within licensed music libraries. So the experience, the music libraries that people use from individual non-commercial purposes that you and I probably have used. On Instagram, you may have seen that there's access to virtually every song out there, but if you are using an Instagram or a Facebook business account, your options will be a lot more limited, and that's just due to music licensing. So as I mentioned, you can use the sound collection that we have available to all advertisers on Meta, or another licensed music library that will help you add quality music to your Reels content. And then I'll just close off, I guess, the last part of this section in kind of bringing this all together and provide you with what I hope is a helpful framework to kind of put this all together when you go about creating your own brief, storyboard, and walking you and your own team through the Reels creation process. So you want to start with a story type prompt, go through quick storyboarding that shouldn't take too long, figuring out how you want to structure your reel, and then how you want to add in your product and your branding. So consider the aforementioned story types as a starting point. So choosing a Q&A format, a transition, and then putting that into a worksheet and a storyboard that will help you script your reel. So here's just an example. Again, it's pretty straightforward and very accessible for everyone. So if you want to start by selecting the story type, and then you have the different components of what make an entertaining reel. You have the copy, which is the text that you're going to use, the video itself, what are the visuals that you want to put in the frame, and then what audio cues, voiceovers, or music do you want to have at different sections. And within each of those elements, you want to think about how you're going to input them at different stages of the creation process. Capturing the attention, what is the hook that you're going to use, how are you going to maintain the attention, and then reward the user's attention. So in the example with Planty that we saw before, let's go forward. They decided to use the before and after story type. So we want to, start with let the user know that if they keep watching, they're going to see some kind of exciting result at the end. And they're going to do this by capturing the user's attention with a text sticker that says, my plants before Planty. Oh, okay, so let me watch to the end so I can see my plants after Planty. And this walks through the different images and the different video frames that they're going to use. Here they're saying okay, I need to search for a track that has a strong drop sync because I want there to be a transition that's going to hook the user in. And then, rewarding the user's attention by adding the caption that you want to include. And then in terms of the video storyboarding, at the end, I want the woman to put down the bottle of Planty so that they can see the product in the reel. And then this can be then further sketched out through a really quick storyboarding exercise where you can set up different frames, add transitions, and show at which stages you want to include each of the elements that we saw before. So then when we put it all together, you can see how this turns out. So. Now we can think about different prompts that you can use. Again, I won't go into too much detail here because we saw this earlier in the presentation as we walked through the different story types. But these are just 5 different ways that you can get that hook going from the beginning and capture the attention, either through fun audio, including your audience in the story that you're trying to relate to, sparking curiosity and making the content very relatable to something that people are already familiar with, either through pain points in their daily lives, situations that they find themselves in, or something that's within the cultural zeitgeist of the day. Maintaining attention, you want to introduce your brand or product, and again, doing it in the language of Reels, so making sure that you're to the point, the user knows that you're giving valuable information based on the hook that you used, and that they want to keep watching and get to the end of the video. So you can do that by doing a tutorial, showing how something works, showing the product being used in real life so that the person understands that this is something that's relevant and made for them. breaking down different features and benefits of the product through text and through this listicle type of storyboard that I mentioned before. And of course, using humor is always a good way. And then finally, to close the loop, you want to reward the user's attention at the very end, and you can do this with showing your product and your branding, inviting the user to take an action, talking about a promotion, a promo code, a sale that you're running, or asking people to connect with you and give their opinion. These are all really great ways to reward someone for watching a reel. And I know reels are very short, but again, time is of the essence. We all have very short attention spans, so we want to, make sure that the content that we're showing the user is something that they won't regret watching. And another way that you can think about this from a framework perspective, and I can share this with Madgicx afterwards if that's helpful, but here there's this matrix that breaks reels down into these 3 stages about capturing, maintaining, and rewarding. And these are all the different ways that you can do it, and some ideas around using audio, involving your audience, sparking curiosity. These are all some really common mechanics that are used that are very effective within each section of this storyboarding exercise. As I mentioned before, you don't want your reel to really feel like an ad, but you also have to think about how you're going to integrate your product and your service into the video that you're making. And so again, here are just some ideas. You can use it as a prop. You can show the product in use. Use branding and colors in the reel that match your own branding and your own brand identity. Mention it using voiceover and audio. And you can also use text overlay and stickers. So before I leave you today, there's just a few, 5 key things that I want you to take away from all of this. I know this is a lot of information. The first is just really emphasizing again that Reels is the fastest growing content format on Meta platforms right now. And so it's a great opportunity for brands to meet users where they're already spending a lot of their time to help drive performance and outcomes that they want to achieve. The second is, again, that Reels are a language. They're very different from the types of video content that we have all gotten used to over the last years. They're fluid, ever-changing, and should always be entertaining, digestible, and relatable. You want to use story types as a starting point to continue to create great content that goes through the 3 key pillars of capturing, maintaining, and rewarding attention. You can use creators or meta business partners to take your Reels content to the next level if you feel that you need a little bit more of a boost there. And then lastly, you can do it. Anyone can make a Reel. You don't have to be a big production company to see results from creating Reels ads on the platform, and it's something that we should all feel really excited about and really empowered to do. So with that, this was just a very quick introduction into this world of Reels that we are now really focusing on here at Meta. Hopefully this was helpful and kind of sparked a little bit of your curiosity or a little bit of inspiration to feel that you can get started. But we're really at the start of this exciting journey. At Meta, we always have a saying called the journey is only 1% finished. It's never done. It's always changing. So we're really at the start of Reels, and we're really excited to see how the platform continues to grow. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dani, who, back to Philip, before with Dani, and I'd like to thank you again so much for being here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stacey. I love how you refer to Reels as being their own language, right? So thank you very much for teaching us that language, right? I think that was very hands-on, and I appreciate you for taking the time, putting that together. And I took a lot of notes, a lot of photos, so thank you for teaching me. Great. All right. As Stacey already said, now we're gonna move over to Dani. So Dani, Vice President of Success here at Madgicx, gonna share a lot about how you can actually use Reels with the Madgicx platform to really get your performance up in 2023. Big round of applause for Dani Fine.
Amazing. Thank you guys. Thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Philip. Thank you everyone for coming. Such great energy. Great to be here. Really interesting. So we're going to be talking about a few very interesting stuff today. How to actually utilize it and take it to the next step. Meta people, I hope you don't hate me. I'm going to share some data. I know you guys are very strict about that, but I'm going to share, so don't hate me too much. But it'll be super interesting for the performance marketers to really take it to the next step. So what are we going to be discussing? Number one, what the data shows, where Reels sit in today's world, how to maximize Reels with Madgicx, and what's to come for Madgicx with Reels. Really, really interesting stuff to come from the future as well. So number one, why are we even talking about this, right? It's new, we know what it is, and where do we take it from here? What do we do with this? So something that I think is super interesting to look is at the data. First thing for the performance marketers out there to actually start looking at, it's still very, very early for Reels, and that's why there's not a lot of competition to really come out there and put it out there. So we can already see 53% cheaper CPM on average compared to the normal other placements in Facebook, and this is only for conversion campaigns. So we're talking performance marketing here, guys. As I said, unique opportunity to really maximize it before the market goes too much into it. This is really where we want to bounce in, and the next slides will really prove that point as well. Cool. So next thing I want to show you guys is performance. Performance of Reels is going up month over month. We can see this on average. In general, we usually know that Q4 is when people actually see the best performance. But we actually seen Q1 is actually giving Reels up more momentum, meaning it's continuing to grow month after month. In fact, if we actually look at the numbers, so the average ROAS for Reels grew by 45% in the last 6 months. That's where you need to be profitable. That's where you're going to be making your money in the next 6 months to come before the market floods this. It's going to flood it at some point, and you guys need to be there. Next super interesting thing I want you guys to see is, okay, you would expect return on ad spend went down, but went from Q4 to Q1, spend probably went down. And that's why the return on ad spend went up. But we can actually see the spend is actually increasing on Reels month after month, very, very strong. And we can actually see a 439% increase in the last 6 months in spend in Reels, meaning it's growing as we talk. Every day, there's more and more spend getting distributed to there. And if you're not putting money there, you're losing money, 100%. So we would expect the return on ad spend to go down and not to change, or at least not change as spend goes up, but we do see exactly the opposite result, meaning Facebook, the Meta, the algorithm is actually learning more and more how to utilize this, where to put it, when to put it, who to show it to. So as the machine learning algorithm learns more, we need to start utilizing it more and really maximizing and those kind of stuff. And as we all know, due to the law of diminishing return, at some point this will end. Right? We saw it with stories, there was a massive hype. At some point it ends, it reaches the peak. This is not close to the peak. This is exactly where everyone needs to jump in and say, how can I utilize this as much as possible to really maximize my return on ad spend? And that's where we want to be. So before I jump into it a bit deeper, I just want to say, why do we need to think about it differently? And Stacey talked about this a lot, but I just want to put it into perspective the way I like to make it super simple to me. So we have this graph. On one side, we have entertainment, right? Entertainment, we think Netflix, right? I want to come entertained, I want to watch something, I want to binge something, that's where I'm going, Netflix. On the other side, we have the social network for friends and family. I want to come, I want to see what's happening. My cousin got married in the US, I want to see the pictures, I want to see the story of my friend that's now visiting whatever island it may be. And that's what we really want to talk into. And that's Facebook and Instagram. And then what I think is really, really beautiful is we start seeing something now that's developing in the middle. Somewhere in the middle, and here we have Miley Cyrus then in the best of both worlds, right? And that's exactly what Reels is. In the beginning, you come into Facebook or Instagram to start seeing your family, right? You want to see what's happening there. But we see this with the data. What keeps you there is the Reels. And that's where everyone is moving to now, right? So that's a very beautiful journey of what's happening now. People come to see what's happening with their friends and family. People stay for the Reels. And that's really, really an evolving thing as it continues to grow. And that's, I think, a massive advantage, by the way, that Meta has on these people. So people will always come there, right? People still come there on a daily basis. And I think Stacey said the numbers here. I don't know, like 1 million billion Reels a day get watched and all those kind of stuff. And it will only continue growing because they have a market that never ends. People always come to Meta platforms. People still sign up to Meta platforms every single day. And it's still growing and growing. And that's where the Reels will really keep them there to maximize on that space as much as possible. So now I really want to talk about how to actually utilize Reels in your ads as part of the AI revolution, as part of Madgicx, to really start maximizing that as much as possible. So as I'm sure all of you know already, we do have a really exciting tool called AI Marketer, which can automatically identify opportunities for you and scale based on whatever's working on your account. So we can look at market data, identify what's working, and give you those opportunities on a silver platter with the click of a button. And we're actually developing right now something super interesting in this, is to actually maximize this for Reels. So we'll be able to identify your top audiences, we'll be able to identify your top Reels, and create brand new campaigns for you based on these specific things. And all you need to do is click that button there that says launch audiences. So we're really pushing this, we really understand the potential here, and that's why we're really maximizing this as much as possible. The next thing I think, we heard people say, guys, we get you, Reels is working, but I'm not inspired. I can't just think of something, right? And that's exactly why we created the ad inspiration tool. And that's what's really nice to see over here as well, is inside Madgicx, you can actually go now and you can filter to say, I want to see Reels between this and this length, right? And I can say, I want to see ones that have shoes in, right? Because I'm selling shoes, whatever it may be, and I can get inspired by all this kind of stuff. And it's really, really simple. No, the clickers again, that's not worth us. But we will send you guys this as well so you can see it play, and you can really just move in here super easily, identify what's working, move it, and we'll talk about at the end how we can later put this into our ongoing process within Madgicx. Next, how can we actually launch into the Reels placement? We understand it's there, we understand we want to utilize it. Part of our process of launching campaigns, where can we actually see this within Madgicx and maximize that? So super simple, as you guys all know in Madgicx, once you reach the launcher, you can decide the placement. So I just want you guys to know that we did add the Reels placement here as well. And as anything in Madgicx, we want you guys to make data-driven decisions. So we display the data here right in front of you so you can identify the opportunities and really maximize them while you're making the steps. Next thing I want you guys to see is how can I actually test this, right? So for example, something we can do is we can create an ad set, as we anyway create an ad set in Madgicx, and we can simply duplicate that ad set. This allows us to A/B test a very easy functionality. With the first one, we can say, I'm going to put it in all my placements, see how it performs, let Meta do its thing. On the second thing I can say, I want to take a little more control. I've been hearing a lot about these Reels and I really want to maximize my performance. I want to test it. And this is the perfect way to do an A/B test here, because we take an audience that's exactly the same, we take creatives that are exactly the same, and the only thing we change in is the placement. And then we can identify how to maximize those performances. And we've tested this on a lot of accounts, and it's actually working really well. It's proven to be a very effective scaling strategy as well. Because I'm taking a top of funnel audience usually, right? Because we want big SaaS. We take those audiences, we duplicate them, launch them into different placements, and really maximize that as much as possible. Another really cool thing we can do is analyze performance. So I didn't go into it too much here, but just so you guys know, there is the 360 account audit auction insights. So you can go into there, you can identify performance on different kind of things and really see how much am I spending here. Where can I identify these opportunities? So there's Reels, there's the Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, you can really dive into that. There's other placements as well. So maybe you come in here and you actually see, I'm not utilizing Facebook stories enough, whatever it may be. But I just want you guys to know to utilize these opportunities, to really maximize on these kind of stuff. Because this is where your money's lying. This is the easiest way to make more money. And I know you're probably thinking now, okay, I understand the potential, but I don't have time and resources for this, right? And Stacey talked about a lot that anyone can do this, but we all know that sometimes we don't have that vision, we don't know how to do it, and we don't know how to utilize it. So in a second, I'll talk about how we're going to put that into that really process that we can utilize this very fast. But I want you guys to really quickly, in case you haven't met them yet, meet Sparkle, right? Sparkle allows you guys to really maximize those kind of stuff and really create them on the go. And what's really interesting here is they're in the industry. They're not in the different industry and they say, we'll do this. They can see what's working. They know what's working. And they can really move that to you guys and to really help you guys create more stuff and more ideas. And the way they actually move this functionality is, first of all, you have a few options, right? You can do fully edited, right? And you can then allow them to do it. But what I'm going to skip a bit because my favorite part is the content blast. You literally take a 30-minute video, you send it to Sparkle, and they'll create a bunch of different videos for you, a bunch of different opportunities to really utilize these different things, give you guys massive content for months to come, right? And you can really utilize this with UGCs, whatever it may be, unboxing. You can send them pictures, you can send them whatever they do, and they can really turn those into those converting kind of ideas. And again, they're in the industry, they see the data, they know what's working, and they can help make sure that converts for you guys as well. So just to really quickly what's to come, kind of like understand what's happening. And this is, I think, what's the most interesting idea of what we do in Madgicx here is we try and create full processes, we try and create full workflows to really make sure you guys can take something from A to Z and execute it to the highest level possible, right? So we're really combining all the tools now, starting with the creative insights, where you'll be able to identify what's working for me, reels, stories, whatever it is, short, long, all those kind of stuff. Move to the, okay, understand what I'm searching for, go to the that feed we saw where you can see all the different ads, right? And then I can say, I know what's working for me, short videos, Reels format, that's what's working for me. I filter in based on that, see ideas. Once we identify those ideas, we save them. And then with the creative brief tool we're creating now, you can save those videos, send the brief directly to Sparkle, and they'll create those ads and send them back to you. So we're really circling that full process of creative production from A to Z. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate the time you guys gave me. If there's any questions at the end, I'm sure we'll have time to ask questions. And I can see Philip here is already ready to kick me out. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Dani. Big round of applause. Thank you. We have 2 more sessions here. The first one is going to be a presentation, and the second one is going to be our panel here. I'm very much looking forward to both. First up, let me introduce Erez Yaffe to you. He's actually co-founder of Shtik Media, right? Did I pronounce that correctly? Fantastic. All right. So he's going to talk about Reels as being the awareness monster of our time. So please help me welcome him with a big round of applause. So this is Erez Yaffe.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Erez Yaffe, co-founder of Shtik Media. We're an advertising company focusing on the Israeli and US markets. We have been using Reels for the past year and a half for our clients in many verticals, from e-commerce to NGOs, from travel to beauty and more. Now, I've started my way in digital marketing in 2006, specifically with Facebook in 2007, and in those years, I've managed tens of millions of dollars for my clients. Now, I remember back in 2006, I was marketing on MySpace. Does anybody here remember MySpace? Yeah. Raise your hand if you do. Okay, yeah, these are the old guys here. Yeah? Okay. So I remember it was a social network around music, and it was a super colorful one. It held all those animated GIFs and banners, and it was flashy. So in 2007, when Facebook started to grow in Israel, I remember thinking to myself, what is this white and blue thing? Nobody is going to like this. This is going to fail for sure. Well, apparently I was just a little bit wrong, and, and Facebook became the biggest social network on earth, Meta today. And it did so because it always kept changing. It always kept evolving. Anybody who has been with Facebook or Meta for several years know that it always changes. So today I want to talk to you about one of its latest and the coolest evolvements, the awareness monster, Reels. So what is Facebook Reels? Facebook Reels are short-form vertical videos that can go up to 90 seconds, and they're a great way to share your creativity, reach new audiences, and communicate with your existing ones. Let's watch a short example. What is so special about Reels from my point of view? Reels are the most discoverable form of content on Meta today. You can find them in about a gazillion places. Let's have a look at a few. For instance, on Instagram, you will see Reels on the Explore tab. You will have them on your Home tab, on the feed. You have a special dedicated tab for Reels. And on each and every profile, you have a section for Reels. Now on Facebook, you will bump into them in Facebook Watch. You will have them on your feed. You have a special tab for Reels, and there is a Reels section and a video section in each and every profile. So with all those places we meet Reels, there's no wonder people in Instagram and Facebook spend over 30% of their time on Reels. But what is the difference between Reels and Stories? Let's look at a few key differences. First, length. While Stories can go up to 60 seconds, by the way, if you have still 15-second stories, don't worry, it's in a rollout, you will have it soon. Reels can go up to 90 seconds. While organic stories are available for 24 hours, Reels last a lifetime. Visibility. Stories are located at the top of the feed, but Reels, like we just saw, are everywhere. And one of the most important differences, the audiences. Stories are a great way to interact with your existing audience and communicate with it. But Reels, they are the awareness monster. They reach new audiences, they get you great exposure. So, now that we understand the key differences between stories and Reels, let's dive into a couple of case studies. So, Inokim. Anybody here in the crowd know Inokim? Raise your hand. Nice. So, Inokim is a high-end e-scooter brand that operates in the European and US markets, and in Israel, of course. We like calling them the Tesla of e-scooters because they really have a top-of-the-notch product, and you'll see soon. Now, in this case, Inokim wanted to raise awareness in selected cities in the US. Knowing that video is the best way to generate awareness, they created videos in different ratios, so we'll be able to optimize for each and every placement. Now, let's take a look at the videos and then discuss the results.
All right, if you're looking for a super epic scooter, then the Inokim OX is the perfect scooter for you. I'm proud to say that according to online reviews around the world, the Inokim OX is the best scooter on earth. And let me explain why. The Inokim OX has 2 rubber suspensions, which gives you the most comfortable and most enjoyable riding experience. The design and aesthetics of this scooter gives you a smoother and a safer ride. With a whopping...
All right, and another example.
Things I love about the Inokim Lite. Number 1, portability. The Inokim Lite is only 28 pounds. It's perfect for taking on the train, going upstairs, going downstairs. Number 2, folding mechanism. Easiest 1, 2, 3, done. Number 3, 21 miles per hour max speed. Woo! Number 4, the range. The Inokim Lite can go up to 25 miles with 1 charge. And number 5, customizable colors.
Right, so before we move to the results, I want you to notice a few key principles. First of all, the hook. 5 things I like about da. This catches your attention. By the way, I encourage you to use this prompt, 5 things I love about whatever product you're selling. It's working really well. Second, it had subtitles. For the 20% that watch Reels without sound or with volume off, to cut through the silence. Third, it had a snappy rhythm. It was like bam, 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 bam. It's always interesting. And fourth, it was made with iPhone or smartphone. This is not a super expensive production, meaning anybody can do it. So, with Reel ads, we had 33% lower cost per ad recall lift comparing to the campaign average. We got 38% higher CTR. And the best part, 324% higher ROAS for Reel ads comparing to the campaign average. Really amazing results. So let's look at another case study. Jack Cuba. Jack Cuba is luxury lingerie retailer in Israel with dozens of stores in Israel. Now, Jack Cuba is one of the biggest names around here for years and years, and the reason for it is first, they have a really quality product, great product, and second, they have a super aggressive brand awareness strategy. I mean, those guys really like to get as many eyeballs as possible, and I've learned a lot from them. So, on last January, Jack Cuba had their winter sale. They generated vertical videos showcasing the collection items and highlighting the sale. We later then promoted those videos on both stories and Reels. So let's have a look at the videos and then discuss the results. Right, so this was from the beginning of the campaign with 40% off, and the next one is from the end of the campaign, from the final sale with 50% off. Right, so this one is an expensive production. It was not made with iPhone, but you can notice a few key principles that work here as well. So first of all, the rhythm. It is snappy, it's changing, it's moving all the time. Second, it's both, like the other case study we saw, it's product focused. You know, sometimes we get very creative, but we forget to put the product in the middle. So both case studies are very much product focused. It has subtitles to get the message through, 40% off, 50% off. And yeah, they both worked really well, both the expensive production and the iPhone production. So results. With Reels ads, we had 47% lower cost per 1,000 people reached, which is amazing when you want to get as many eyeballs as possible. And another amazing part, we had 63% lower cost per post engagement. Now, is there anybody here, I'm sure there is, using the ARR strategy or the Facebook full funnel approach or tof mof bof? Come on, raise your hands. Sharp marketers aren't here. So this is a perfect example on how to take acquisition audiences and push them down the funnel, turn them into re-engagement audiences. And of course, like stated before, Reels do perform also in lower stages of the funnel and with hardcore performance campaigns. So now that we all agree that Reels are an amazing feature, let's go over a couple of golden tips that always work. First of all, be creative. Remember, Reels are a form of entertainment. Like Dani said before, if this is your usual newsfeed and this is Netflix, then Reels are somewhere in the middle. Be creative and you will be rewarded for it by the algorithm. Keep your Reels short and focused. If you remember in the beginning, I told you Reels can last up to 90 seconds. Well, I lied. You can actually upload 15-minute long Reels if you use the upload from device feature, but I wouldn't recommend, though, using 15-minute Reels unless you have to. Keep them short and focused, have a strong hook in the beginning, and they will be more effective. Add sound and effects. No need to add too much to that. It makes your reel more interesting. If you're using organic reels, you can also use trendy sounds to get extra virality. Use subtitles to make sure your message cuts through the silence, even if people watch with volume off. Use a clear call to action in the end of your reel, or you can even use questions or even provocative questions to get extra engagement. Do you want to see me dance? Do you want to see me dance? Extra engagement. All right, recycle content. First, recycling is good for the environment. So if you like Mother Nature, recycle. Second, you don't always have to shoot for new content. You can edit a clip from existing materials, a clip from here, a clip from there. Take a piece of sound from here, a little subtitles, and you've got a brand new piece of content. We've done this several times with our clients, and it worked really well. Never delete a reel. While stories last 24 hours and usual posts tend to decay organically after a couple of hours or a couple of days, reels can actually explode even a couple of weeks after they have been uploaded. And last and probably one of the most important tips, use AI with reels. So why is it so important? First, I want to make my shareholders happy and my company's stocks to rise, so I'm going to use the word AI for as many times as possible in this lecture. AI. Okay, better. Second, now looking strategically at the digital ecosystem in the last years, we see a clear trend. Algorithms get smarter and smarter. So this means there is a shift of weight. The two things that are the most important today, and they will be even more important in the future, are creative and analysis. So how can we leverage AI to to help us with creative and analysis. Just a few ideas. One, you can use visual AI to generate eye-catching visuals and integrate them with your reels, or even video AI. Second, use a chat, an AI chat, educate it about your business, and then ask him to give you 300 ideas for scripts for my next Reels production. That's a heck of a creative power-up to your team. And third, analysis. Tools like Madgicx can help you get amazing insights. Now, with better insights, you get better decisions. With better decisions, you get better results. And of course, with Madgicx, you can also automate your campaigns, which I highly recommend if you're running campaigns at scale. So, for conclusion, Reels, the awareness monster, are the most discoverable form of content on the biggest social network today. They are a powerful tool to lower CPAs, generate awareness, and reach new audiences in a fun, in a creative and engaging way. I strongly encourage you to use Reels, both organic and paid, in your work, and I'm sure while you'll do so, you'll see they hold great value for you and for your business. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah!
Thank you so much, Erez. All right.
One last commercial.
Go for it. Is it with AI?
It's not with AI. Okay, it's my logo.
All right. Big round of applause. But stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. All right. Can we have a little help with the chairs? That would be wonderful. Thank you. All right. So, as our last content piece here today, and I hope you're actually making some videos so you can produce reels from that and then push it out, at least all the companies present here. All right, good. So let's move to our last part here, which is a panel discussion. So without further ado, I'll ask Erez back on our stage. Please choose a seat. Yeah, you love it. I can see that. Yes. All right, then. Oh, fantastic. Okay. More microphones. So then, of course, with great pleasure, I want to ask Lisa Dauvermann from Meta here on stage. She has been with the company for, I believe, around 8 years, which in internet times is quite an experience, right? And she heads ad tech for EMEA, so she's definitely a wonderful resource. Thank you very much for joining us here. Looking forward.
I should hear?
No, I think just to your face, right? Okay. Okay. Oh, sure. Okay, perfect. All right. And last but not least, the chief magician here at Madgicx, co-founder Yahav, with a beer in hand, please. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me here. This is going to be cool. Guys, does somebody have a timer? Because otherwise, I think I'll keep going here for 2 hours. So tell me, how much time do we have for this? Yeah, 20 minutes? Something like this? Okay, all right. Good, well, let's get this started. So obviously, we're speaking about Meta, Facebook, Instagram Reels here today, right? So let's kick it off with a round of the biggest opportunity that most companies have here. Obviously, there's very different kinds of companies, but if you look at Reels and where the platforms are going to head in 2023, what's, of all the things that we have mentioned today, what's the biggest opportunity? And maybe Lisa, you can start.
Happy to. Nice to see everybody. Hopefully you learned a lot from the folks speaking earlier about Reels. Putting it closer to my mouth, okay. I think we talked a lot about the entertainment factor, and I think Dani actually visualized it well in one of his slides of saying we have an opportunity to talk differently to the audiences than we do within feed or stories, and we see as a platform that entertainment is just becoming more and more important to keep users engaged. And eventually what's important for us as a platform is having meaningful interactions and keeping people there. And if we manage to do that with partners, that help to bring in great content from advertisers, then we win. What is in for advertisers, I think, you reach audiences in a different way. And one of the things that I think we haven't talked much about, beside the conversion and the less cost on Reels at the moment, we see that you reach new audiences, because through feed and stories you reach a certain type, and some of them you have been reaching for a while. But if you add Reels to the mix, because you speak different, because it's a different language, I think you reach a different type of audience.
Fantastic, thank you. So, Yahav, what's your opinion?
All right. Yeah, at the end, like the way...
The opposite.
Usually I'm problematic, right? No.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, like when I think about advertising and specifically performance marketing, it's really about closing the arbitrage gap between the products and getting them out there to the market. And the platforms like Facebook can do it really, really well. When a product is much more valuable to the market, the only thing it needs is to get this press of additional media. And I think that Reels, like if we look at the global trends now in media, in general, how people consume content, we discussed this already. Reels is like the ultimate format for that, and really understanding how it works. We talked about not making it boring. And I think the opportunity is actually about understanding how to make Reels work, not to make them boring. If you look at the content, if you just want to, so there's many ways of doing it, right? There's two types of opportunities. Let's say one would be reverse engineering what works, and that's most probably the best way for small businesses that have a lower budget and they can't really get to the higher levels of content. So for them, that's actually where Madgicx also helps a lot of companies with our new ads library product and Sparkle, and combining like one workflow to make it really easy for those brands to figure out what are the creatives that are working, what's trending, and just like launch a lot of creative fast with Flow resource. For bigger brands and just brands that want to take a different angle of the creators, I think it's really about understanding the format and really understanding how this format works. If you look at, for example, Mr. Beast and a lot of the newer content, like the really fastest content creators today, they're not boring. So if you guys know how to create content that is not boring, like looking at a video ad, just look at your ads and just watch it and then see like when do you get bored? The moment you get bored, that's the place to cut the ads, to change something. Just don't be boring. I think that's the biggest opportunity. And then from the media perspective and the arbitrage that I spoke about, that's exactly where you can bridge the gap, because the media price also depends on CPMs and other factors. And as you saw in the presentation, CPMs here are the lowest. So in terms of buying media, that's most probably the cheapest like opportunity at the moment. And so if you understand, and the total impact is kind of like how good your ad is and the content multiplied by the media efficiency of the media. So we gave you now, okay, that's the most efficient media. Now it's up to you guys and to us to help you how to make that content efficient. So when you multiply those things, you get incredible results. The other multiplier, obviously, is the budget you put into it. But it's like a machine, right? You want to make a really profitable machine first, and so the media is one of them, the content is the other one, and then you can just like scale it with budgets profitably for advertisers, for Meta, and also for the users that enjoy the entertainment. And I really like the way how Meta phrased it, that it's like a reward. So it's a positive way of looking at it. You entertain something, and then you reward them with a call to action. You bridge the gap, they buy the product. So commerce is a positive thing, and this comes for entertainment. So that's kind of like my take.
Thank you, cool. Erez, what do you say?
Well, like I've just talked in the presentation, I think the biggest opportunity today in Reels is that they are the most discoverable form of content. Oh, you have to turn it on. Ah. Okay, you learn something new every day, you know?
Let's create a reel about it. I'll send it to you, and then you save it for next time.
Sounds good.
All right, it's on now, right?
Yeah, so
okay.
It's on. So, as I said in my presentation, I think the biggest opportunity today in Reels is that it's the most discoverable form of content today on Meta. Now, as an advertiser, I'm seeing Meta doing really heavy lifting and really trying to push Reels forward. And as you know, I already know Meta for a year or two, and I know when they want to push something really hard, that's a really good opportunity for us advertisers, because like we've seen, Reels is everywhere. They have great CPMs. Organically, they get you the best possible organic reach. So it's the entire pack for us advertisers.
Let me say we don't just push, it's about the consumers that consume more. So I think the demand is so high.
The demand is high.
And it's increasing because I think video, and I think some of us mentioned it, that video is a new language.
For sure.
And how we can talk more about it. People are a bit bored by static feed content, and
For sure.
the demand of video is just rising dramatically. And I think Dani showed the increase of Reels being watched. It's not just because we push it.
Of
we
course.
actually make sure that we don't push too much at the moment and kind of keep a balance on good content.
Sometimes you need help in pushing the advertisers towards what the consumers want. I think that's what.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, hey, we don't just push for
Yeah,
the
no.
sake of us pushing. It's because users actually want it.
Let me dive into here. Actually, can you hear Lisa? Is she loud enough for you guys to hear? Yeah. A bit louder.
Okay. I scream.
Okay. Can you do that for us?
Later. Wait for
Okay.
it.
All right. Can somebody get a drink for
Building up
Lisa?
the storyline.
In the next reel, watch the next
Get
reel.
your cameras ready, guys. Okay. A more serious question. So you just made clear that actually your job is more as a platform to listen to what consumers enjoy and do more of that. So this obviously also have to make business sense, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of roadmaps and where you want to push this internally, at least in 2023. So we've talked a lot. No, we've talked a lot about where it's at right now and where people have to jump on that opportunity. As much as you can, we would obviously be interested in learning where Meta wants to develop Reels in 2023 and maybe even beyond. Because obviously, if we invest the time and the energy into that, we would love to know what's on the horizon.
I think it's constantly developing, and what I tell you today is probably old tomorrow. So we're building it as we speak, and we're learning what's working. And our first point, and that's why I mentioned the consumers want video, is always the consumer first. What's working? What's the engagement? And that is both on ads as well as organic. We will always start with organic. We did that with stories, and I think there was a very, very limited ad load at the beginning, and we started to increase the ad load on stories. We go in with the same principles on Reels. We first want to make sure it's clear to users or they enjoy the format. We have the right algorithm, and I think we talked about as well how their algorithm is getting better. And I think, let's be very honest, in the beginning, TikTok had a much more successful rate of showing you your interests. I think we've really catched up, and we are on par to I might be biased, but I think we really caught up well. But this is the first piece, and then figuring out, okay, how do we bring clients, advertisers into this and help them create? We will do our part. Obviously, AI and generative AI is a hot topic everywhere right now, and we talked about what Sparkle can do, and saying like, hey, bring in all the content that you have. We make easy Reels out of this. I think this is what we are looking for is, from us, from a native perspective, okay, how can we make it already easier on our platform? But we will always go only to a certain point, and we need partners. And as Stacey mentioned, we have a set of business partners. Obviously, we are neutral, but we are sitting here because we're a huge fan of Madgicx and Sparkle and believe that this is the right way of pushing forward. So we always try to better figure out with our partners what works, what doesn't work, what are the best tools to use to make it work, and test and learn, adjust quickly. And I think this is what the roadmap is. So there will be more on making it easier to use Reels, making it better performant, by what we learn every day on what's coming up.
Cool, thank you very much.
I know it's fluffy. I don't have an exact
No,
roadmap in my
it's
hand.
good. I think the importance here is really to understand like that this is something that Meta is focusing on, right? So it's worth it for everybody here to really pay attention, right? And invest their own resources.
I don't think Reels is going to go away next month, no.
All right. Cool.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Let's see what's next. But as mentioned before, Meta is pretty good at adapting, yeah. pushing forward then very hard. Okay, cool. So Yahav, what's on the horizon then for Madgicx, right? You're obviously a great partner when it comes to running ads on Meta, right? I still know the platform from the very early days when it was mostly automations, right? You started off with really helpful but kind of easy to understand and implement automations. Now, obviously, you have transformed the platform and you're like leading edge when it comes to really making ad performance easier, right? So I see a push towards the creative side with what we have learned today. Maybe you can share a little secret or two, and I don't know if you can. This is not a stage question, but something that everybody can expect from Madgicx this year, specifically for Reels, if you have something.
Yeah, like from the early beginning, like Madgicx was kind of grown from the, let's say, from the community, like specific, like big Facebook groups, Twitter, of the like top 1% performance marketers, at least the ones that are engaged and are sharing their, knowledge with other people. We really built towards that community, and we developed like advertising products in the spaces of ad automation, ad optimization, ad management that helps performance marketers to make really the most out of their Facebook ad performance. And we felt like basically together with everything that we discussed on the trend and changes that are happening on Facebook and on the media in general, we feel that we really kind of like made a big stamp on being one of the leaders, if not again, I'm also biased, in ad optimization. So we feel like this is now the time for us to really double down on creative. So we started a long time ago, but now we're really developing a lot of creative optimization and intelligence technologies with the goal of not just having a lot of features and a lot of pages, but really focusing on single workflows. And in the creative sense, it's like, how can we constantly produce converting ads, starting from using your existing data, creative insights that we have today, then going into finding what could be your next best creative or creative concept, just like you saw today. Like potentially which concepts are you missing, which concepts you haven't tried yet, right? The same thing we're talking about the full funnel audiences, that you want to do all the funnel stages. So right now is like, are you doing all the creative concepts, all the creative types, all the creative formats, length, short videos, long videos, did you do this and that trend? That's where it's going, like micro things. And from there, basically helping smaller businesses reverse engineer kind of what works, giving them a low-cost solution, Sparkle, to produce ads at scale based on the inspiration that we help them to find, and then launching the ads for Madgicx, and again, back then creative insights, and it goes back and forth. So this is like really one of the biggest workflow now in Madgicx that we're focusing on, besides the other two, which is building an autonomous ad optimization machine, just like ChatGPT is a text prompt, so we want to make AI ad optimization prompts, where we really learn what are the inputs and outputs that drive performance and learn from those things, as well as building one dashboard, a centralized e-com and paid advertising operating system, where every one of you guys, the marketers, wake up in the morning and how was your night tonight, or how was yesterday, are you profitable today, by combining all channels together, and also marrying all channels as well as Facebook data with your Shopify revenue, and making sure you're profitable on a blended ROAS, on a blended MER approach, plus the ad attribution that we can directly attribute. So of course, attribution is still a key area for us, but creative is the fastest growing and most invested in our front.
Cool, that's fascinating, because I think one of the big shifts that we've seen over the last couple of years, and especially like the last 2 years, I guess, is that organic content and ads content start to look pretty much the same, right? In many cases, stuff that works organically also works good as an ad, or at least the ads are very much inspired by organic content, right? So I want to dive into these two strategies for a bit, right? And let's maybe start with organic first. I know all of you here are interested in advertising, right? But I think if we understand organic a bit better, it also makes us better advertisers. So maybe let's start with the agency side of things, right? You work predominantly with ads, I guess, right? You don't really do organic content, but do you, as far as I know, but do you use organic content and transform it into ads? You talked a little bit about repurposing.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. You can definitely take organic content, and you should, by the way, you should analyze your organic content. You know, sometimes us advertisers think we're like, no, we're better than organic. We have money, but no, we're not so good. So not so better than organic. You should definitely analyze your organic posts and reels, see where you have high engagement rates, and later then take these materials and turn them into ads. Like I mentioned before, you can also recycle and edit clips from other existing materials. So a definite yes. If you see an organic post that works well, definitely use it. And why are we trying to make ads that look organic? Because that people are tired, a little bit tired from ads. They want organic content. They want 80% of the people prefer content that is not perfect. We are not perfect as humans, so we definitely want to make imperfect ads with who look like organic content.
I think it's a lot about the connection, right? So people just trust imperfect human beings a lot more than something that is too polished, and we did dive into that earlier today. Okay, Lisa, so one thing that I'm thinking about a lot lately is how to grow social channels, right? And so I was always baffled by the fact that on Instagram specifically, there is no official way to boosting your follower count with ads, right? Or maybe there is. Share with us what's the best strategy to grow your channels on Facebook and Instagram right now, and is Reels something, because it does expose you to a bigger audience, that should be the biggest strategy here, or other ways of doing that nowadays?
I think we don't have it because we don't believe that followership is the key to success. We believe ads are the key to success because you will never, from an organic perspective, manage to reach as many people as you will with ads, and you have a bias then towards those people that anyway already like you, and you as a business want to reach those people that don't know you yet. It goes back to the discoverability that you spoke about of, I want to drive acquisition or consideration. I don't, yes, okay, I want to do retention with those that like me already, but I actually want to do acquisition and get new buyers. If they follow me or not, obviously it will be nice that I follow you, but we see, and one of the things that was a huge shift, I would say 7, 8, 9 years ago on Facebook, was that we say likes didn't correlate with sales. So eventually you, and I hope the advertising side agrees with me, you want the sale and you don't want the like or the follower. And yes, you want to increase your audience, but I think you increase it by having this organic, engaging content and being authentic as a brand and being clear on who you are and are informative. And that's a positive thing about Reels. Compared to stories, it stays on your platform and it's like an image channel. So by increasing these Reels and having the explore function, the discoverability that we talked about, I think you have a chance to increase your followership.
All right.
But I would not say to just focus on it.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, quite frankly, from a business side, it does make a lot of sense for Meta to focus on the ads because this is where people spend money. This said, I personally believe that specifically for new formats, it will be very important, of course, for Meta to get people in and enjoy a lot of the organic stuff because this is how they stick around, right?
Absolutely. The percentage of ads right now is very low.
Yeah.
Still.
I mean, what I've seen, and this is not for Reels, right? But what I've seen with other ad creatives is that if a profile or an ad has a lot of engagement, then very often the CPMs actually drop, and it's good for your ads. So I assume there is some kind of correlation. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I'm always analyzing from a technical perspective. So if you look at like most probably the many things in the algorithm when it comes to organic and paid are pretty similar, because when you think about the auction, it really optimizes. A big part of it is like the user experience, and the user. So Facebook would reward you for good user experience on organic, but then if you can practice organic in terms of learning how to build content, and I think that's why also like in a way TikTok grew really fast, because it was a place for people to grow really fast the followers, similar to what Facebook was in 2010, 12, like that people were actually making money from likes and so on, but it's not sustainable. Eventually, also TikTok now are pushing a lot of monetization, and then everything becomes the same. It's an open market. So the best strategy would be to learn how to do this content, practice it on organic, and be able to accelerate it with ads.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right. So I think we have a couple minutes left, or how are we on time? Does anybody know? Okay. Steffi? One last question. Okay. All right. Let me pick that then. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Then let's keep the reels in mind, but let's have a more open round here. So for everybody watching this, for 2023, what do you guys believe? And yes, reels can be part of that, but what do you believe is like the biggest opportunity, something that everybody listening to this or watching this should definitely put their hands around and implement in their company? Let's start over there with Erez.
Yeah, AI, definitely. It's yeah. Stocks? Yeah, stocks are
This man
AI.
is looking for
right.
investors.
But
This man is looking for investors.
If you want good definitely, this is the buzzword of the year, and you know, it started to be a buzzword only 6 months ago. Yeah, and it's completely changing the world. In like, I'm always talking to someone, and I'm telling him, there's no way this is going to happen. Like maybe 6 years from now, and then 2 weeks later, okay, it's already happened. So definitely, AI is the fastest growing vertical, and it holds the greatest opportunity for advertisers. By the way, I know Meta will be releasing some AI tools for advertisers in the next month or two. Yeah, for text editing and for background editing. So I'm also looking forward to that.
So Lisa, what's the number one thing, and maybe you can also comment, if you can, about the AI tools?
Test and learn. I think there's a reason why we're here, why we're all talking about Reels, because we really believe that you have a huge chance right now, because it's lower cost, to jump on it and figure out what your strategy is on Reels. And ideally, it's not totally different to your brand image and who you are as a company, because I think the user, don't forget about it, will still see your feed ad and still see your story ad. So if you're totally off brand, you'll have an issue there as well. But I think test and learn and think about what fits to your brand, how you want to engage with users on the channel, and how you bring this into your performance campaign. As said, it could also be very, very much on the lower funnel. I think it's thinking about, we talked yesterday actually about Christmas and how we believe that this will be the biggest peak probably on Reels and ads and how people are using it. Start early and thinking about, okay, how do you want to integrate this into your marketing mix and how it fits into your performance channel. And yes, we are definitely releasing more AI. There are more AI tools right, left, and center. We've been working with AI tools for years. We've just not made it public before open AI came around and really, I think, broke the market to consumers on AI. But all of our tools are AI powered, so has been Madgicx. So I think they call it now AI marketer, but there's been some power of this before. So yes, we're gonna release more tools, but again, we're gonna go a certain mile. I think if you wanna be successful on our platform, you test and learn, do it by yourself, or be a bit smarter maybe and do it quicker with the help of partners and look into the performance. And yeah, I think it's really about getting started, better done than perfect, and not waiting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Advertising budget.
Spend more, make more, right?
Yeah, frankly, like it's always the biggest opportunity, at least in media, is where the biggest arbitrage is. And right now, like when you think of Facebook as a platform and the number of people it can reach, and the data and everything, and now also figuring out the content out of it. We're in transition of like, I don't know if you noticed between the lines, but Facebook is now together with us together. We're figuring out how to make the Reels content right, because we see Q3 and specifically Q4 and the Q5, Q5, whoever knows. Anyway, as words really gonna explode in terms of like, the media arbitrage. So, and just consumption of the users. It's not that anyone is pushing it, that's where the user attention is. And if we don't figure out right now how to create it, it's just like you prepare for Christmas in advance. You need already now to master and figure out Reels and this content type. So that's the biggest media opportunity, and the other biggest opportunity is leveraging AI. And that's what like everyone agrees and knows. And that's exactly what Madgicx like is about. Like, we're not trying to build like a better Facebook or something like that. We're really trying to build like a better performance marketer that is AI driven and is learning from all the available information of what's available in ad optimization, and finding always the right answer. Like, what should you do today in your account? On a daily basis, on a weekly basis, you open your account, you get suggestions that are crowdsourced from what we know that works in terms of strategies and tactics and creatives, and what, like looking at your account from above and okay, what does this account miss right now? And if in the past it was more like sometimes audiences and bidding and budget optimization and stuff like that, while it's still there, the biggest opportunity is in creative. So that's why the AI marketer is also going to focus a lot on really activating all those things, all those arbitrage, even if it's like formats and concepts and things that will drive your ultimate performance. So we're just now telling you what it is here on a macro trend, and Madgicx, we want to do it on the micro of the micro, because here we're talking at high level, but at the end you guys need to do all this work, and there's a lot of micro work. And Stacey, for example, shared with you today and with us all the structures and what's available and how to categorize content and Reels. So it's really just taking that, applying it to your business and producing a lot of content and constantly testing and scaling what works. And that's where you find the arbitrage, and engaging content gets also an advantage, and preferred formats where users' attention is. So really just close this arbitrage gap.
Thank you very much. That was great. Big round of applause for our panel here, please.